Yes. I'm back. Hello, my fellow neurotics. This is Hal, and here with you with another episode a month later, at least a month. I have been on sort of a sabbatical from my work and from Neuronymous, this podcast, because honestly, I have been extremely depressed. I do suffer from mental illness. I think I've addressed this before. And I just, I was just really down. And, after Bailey died, I just, between my cat and Bailey and just work and everything, it blew up in my face, so, when you get to when it comes to mental illness, you tend to isolate. You isolate and you just don't want to be near anybody. You don't want to talk to anybody. You have to force yourself to go outside. It's not fun. I mean, this sabbatical for me that I've taken from work, it hasn't been fun. I mean, it's been nice that I have a nice network of people to talk to. But at the same time, I'd look at the mic that was just sitting there on the table and I'd be like, who wants to listen to me? But it turns out, people have been asking, why haven't you recorded? Why haven't you done any more podcasts? And I didn't even do an anniversary podcast. This podcast is now over 1 year old. We've been doing it for a year. Woohoo! Congratulations. I didn't do it. And, like I said, you get to a point where you're just like, what's the use? Who wants to listen? And I guess, people do want to listen, and I got a really good pep talk from my friend Christy Jones. It's never just Christy, it's Christy Jones. I love you. And my wife is my greatest cheerleader. I love her very, very dearly, and it's good to be back. It's good to be talking to you guys, and I really am excited about this episode because not only do I have a guest, but I have a guest who's going to feed me. So, and not only is she going to feed me, it's going to be amazing barbecue. So, but that's sometime, that's a little bit later. But anyway, this guest is very special, and I met her through my wife. We got introduced about almost a week ago, and she served us up like the best fucking barbecue chicken I've ever had, and she's she's going places, and I don't know. She's, in her words, it's an experience of food and fellowship. It's an accidental, ongoing social experiment and it's working pretty well for her. And, and the name of her business is Zoe's Fixins, and I'm super excited to have her on. Her name is Kellz, and I can't wait. Fuck it, let's do it. Let's bring her on. All right. All right, Kellz, what's going on?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
This is such an honor.
Oh, it's not, trust me, it's not an honor. You'll learn very quickly. It's the opposite of an honor.
This is great.
No, it's really good to have you on, and I'm so glad that we finally got to meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your food was amazing the other day, and I think we just got to start. I mean, from the genesis of how this thing got started. So let's start with why Zoe?
Well, Zoe is my daughter's name,
Okay.
and so the business, as it were, is actually named after her. It had very little to do with her in the very beginning.
Okay.
Zoe's Fixin's actually my love for food and cooking food actually came from when I was homeless some years ago, and I really became made aware of the lack of options and nutritional food that was being offered to these people like myself who had no food. And you found a lot of sandwiches and things of that nature. And so we started to put our twos and fews together to barbecue or whatever we could come up with. And from that, it just turned into a passion that I developed to bring authentic and really good food to people that had no food at all, as opposed to just the scraps or whatever sandwiches. It became my mission to feed these people as amazing and quality of an experience as I could, and so that's kind of where the passion for cooking came from. And so that was before Zoe. That was before Zoe's Fixins. That was many years ago. And then cut to I moved to Mankato in 2012. I want to say I moved to Mankato with Zoe. And that is when I really started to see a lack of the food that I was used to having. I'm from Chicago, so I'm from a pretty big city, and there's a lot of food that I miss from home. And so that's where the actual vision for Zoe's Fixins came from, actually seeing a lack of what I enjoy doing in my neighborhood. And so, that became that. So, a lot of it had Zoe's the name of it, but a lot of it has very little to do with Zoe, actually. Zoe was like a period of time in my life where I actually wasn't cooking like that, and so that's kind of where we started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you? Is it? Can you? I guess my next question would be: can you tell me a little bit about Zoe?
Oh, absolutely. So Zoe was my daughter that was born premature. She was born 1 pound and 3 ounces. We spent the first 6 months, couple weeks in the NICU with her. And so that was a very long battle. She's had brain surgery. She had all type of different surgeries before we could leave. And so once we finally were able to leave, her and I began our journey together.
They found us.
They clearly found us. Now I'm gonna hide under the table. I don't want to be found. So yeah, and I mean Zoe just kind of became, my life in a sense, and so everything I did was kind of surrounded in her.
Sure.
And so once she left the hospital, there were a lot of needs that she needed, including occupational therapy, physical therapy. So her schedule was very demanding. So it was really not a whole lot of time for things other than Zoe and Zoe related things, which was fine with me because it really gave my life a purpose that it had not had in quite some time. So, it was a pleasure for me to spend that much time with her.
Be a mom.
Yeah, to be a mom, and then to be a mom to such a dope kid. Like, everybody that had a chance to meet Zoe or heard about Zoe, was always very moved, and still very moved and very touched by, her story and her strength. And so, as a mom of such an amazing kid, I just felt honored to raise her, and so that's who Zoe is.
And I've seen some of the videos that you've taken of her on
Yeah.
and She had a lot of piss and vinegar in her.
Yes, she absolutely did.
She sure did. But
Yeah.
she was a little fighter.
Yes, she was. She was very
Yeah.
feisty.
But then obviously tragedy struck and
Yeah. So we just made 4 years on August 28th. Zoe went to sleep and did not wake up. It was really difficult, obviously, but one thing that stands out the most to me about this time was we were actually in therapy with your lovely wife Amanda the day before. Yeah, the day before.
Yeah.
And Amanda was saying what an amazing session Zoe had, and was like, she really got some hard work done, and I'm so impressed. And then the next day, we wake up to find this news. So it was very tragic. It was very sudden. Nobody was expecting it, and it was pretty life changing, as you can expect a loss to be. She was
Christ.
4.5 when she passed. So we had those 4 years, and I packed as much into that 4 years as I could, not even knowing that we had such a limited amount of time. But I just, I was constantly taking pictures and videos because it was just amazing to me to see her grow and thrive. And the deck was stacked against her from day one when she was born. And so, she constantly knocked down goals, and she constantly achieved them, and she constantly was reaching for the next level. And, it was really inspiring for me to see, and so I played a lot off of Zoe's strength. And so, when Zoe died, I obviously went into a very deep depression. And I just kind of sulked for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything, because when Zoe died, I also lost my job, and I lost our apartment where we lived. So before I could even plan a funeral, I had to come back and tear her room down that I spent over a year creating just for her, and making perfect for her. So before we could even plan the funeral, I had to tear down all of that. And so it was just it was an emotional, it was the loss itself. And then there's all the other things that made the loss like 20 times harder than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Like moving and planning a funeral at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that, two very stressful things at the same time, So I ended up just sitting at home and sulking with my family in Chicago for like 2 years. And everybody just kind of watched me just be gravely depressed, because nobody really knew what to do. There was nothing they could say, and nothing they could do. And so, that's kind of how things changed for me.
And I can tell you this, since you brought it up about my wife, I know that my wife was grieving too. I mean, it was like I watched her go through so many emotions, after her death, she passed away.
Right.
And that goes to show how much Zoe meant to a lot of people,
Oh, absolutely.
And
that was one of the biggest things for me that I hear from people, even still to this day, that some, we all think our kid is cool. Everybody thinks their kid is cool.
Sure.
But to hear stories from people that felt inspired by Zoe, that felt like continuing on by Zoe's stance and just by Zoe being every day, was just like a comfort of its own for me. So hearing still to this day, hearing stories like that always warm my heart. People are always like, do I tell you this? Do I share this? Is it gonna make you have a Zoe moment, or whatever? But it really makes me smile, and it really makes me happy to know that Zoe still lingers in the hearts of more than just me.
So you still feel her with you?
Oh, absolutely. She makes sure that she lets me know that she is around me, and whether she is pleased with what I'm doing. And yeah. So she's around me quite a bit.
Yeah.
There are certain things that she does now that she's gone that she would never have done, in life, because she was limited. Those of you that know her, Zoe's vocabulary was limited. Her movements were somewhat limited. But now she's not limited, and so she's all over the place. She's all over the place. Like she comes through to me in certain ways that I know it's specifically her. And I'm like, okay, Zoe, I get it. Nobody's forgotten about you. I talk to her all the time.
Right.
I talk to her all the time. Yeah.
So now that you really are starting to the business, is starting to kind of take off a little bit. I mean, can you tell me about how? I mean, what seems to kind of be the launching point of where you were just like, wow, this thing's starting to I mean, because you told me that somebody wanted like you to do like 200.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to feel amazing.
You know what? After like a bout with depression like I had after Zoe, so much of my purpose was tied. I felt was tied into Zoe, so I stopped cooking afterwards, and then after like 2 years, I don't know why I just started feeling like cooking again, like little things here and there. In the house, in my mom's house, and then it started to pick up traction with like my friends and things would come around and they would like, here, can you season this meat for me? I'm gonna bring some meat. Can you season it with whatever you do to it? And I'm like,
sounds like a porno movie.
Yeah, right, doesn't it?
Can you season
Can
some
you
meat?
Sprinkle a little of this on your meat? Yeah. So I mean, it really took off from there. And so the more people kind of wanted what I was doing and wanted what I was providing, the more it's like, okay, there might be a little second act in this for me after all. And so from that, it sort of turned into like my mom's house she kind of graciously allowed me to turn it into a barbecue shack at this point. Because like, I mean, people just come through with like food and we entertain and people just come and bring meat. There's a neighborhood garden nearby and the neighbors come and bring us fresh vegetables and people in the neighborhood are always coming bringing charcoal and meat and I'm just like, and they're like, we see you out here cooking all the time and we wanted to contribute. And I'm just like, seriously? Like, these people have never had the food. They don't know anything about Zoe. They don't know anything. They just know they see me handing out food all the time. And so it became kind of a thing where I was feeding everybody, and so like anybody that came up and complimented my grill, like, oh, it smells good over here. I'm like, well, come and get a plate, mailman. And then, and so people started like coming back to me, telling me like, you need to do something with this. Yeah, Little Boy Blue, all these different people you need to do something with this. Like, this is a business. And I'm just like, this is a passion project. This is something that I just love to do, that I've perfected over the years, that I just enjoy doing. And it's kind of taken off and it's kind of gotten the attention of some people that I guess see, potential in what I'm doing far beyond my vision of just handing out food, but it's something about when you hand people a piece of meat that is spectacular because you've cooked it for like 12 hours and you put a lot of love into it and you just hand it to them. And, they're looking for, like, what is this for? Or, like, and it's like, it's because this is what I do. There is no giving back. There is none of that. This is just kind of my gift. And I enjoy sharing it. I really enjoy sharing it. And so when I start getting, buzz from people and they're like, hey, can you do this wedding for 200? Or, like, can you do this event? And I'm just like, me? Like, I'm just Zoe's mom. And now it's in this second act, it's become more about my passion and what I enjoy doing and what I'm doing with this food. And so, I named it after Zoe because I knew that even when it got difficult, I wouldn't quit if I named it after her.
That's awesome.
So as much as it doesn't have a whole lot to do with Zoe, like, I named it after her. So
she's in it.
She's totally in it.
Her love is in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I remember on Friday you mentioned that you have like a mentor now.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have a business mentor, and I met her like right when I was kind of at a really low point with the business, with the vision. I was telling everybody I don't want to cook no more. I'm over this. I'm done. It's not going anywhere, and I'm just over it. And a friend of mine knew her. and was like, you guys need to meet. And I almost did not make the meeting because I just was like exhausted and depressed.
Sure.
And I made the meeting, and it ended up changing my life. We talked for like 3 hours, and she also lost a daughter. She lost her daughter to gun violence.
Jesus.
That was 18 years ago. And what she did was she took her daughter's favorite recipe and made a business out of it, which now she is known all over for her, recipes and things. And so she took an interest in me, and she's like, this is what we're going to do. And so in as much as I don't think of what I do as a business, that's why I like to call it like a social experiment, because I mean, it's just that. Right. I enjoy seeing people's faces light up when I hand them a piece of free meat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, trust me, my face lit up when I saw that chicken.
Right.
Damn.
And so, like, she kind of saw it being something, bigger than what I imagined. And so she's kind of been, walking with me, stepping the steps with me, and showing me what to do to take this from a passion project to an actual business. Right. So we're looking at things like my sauces. There are tons of different sauces that I make. We're looking at bottling sauces, things that I've never even thought about. I just make a bunch of different sauces. And she's like, why are your sauces not on the shelves? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just make them. And so she's like, your rubs, why can't people buy them? And I'm like, because I didn't know people wanted to buy them. And people have been wanting to buy it.
If you build it, he will come.
Yes, absolutely. And so people have been like asking me for these things, like, where can we order the rub? Can you ship the rub? And so it's all these new things that have been coming into play. Right, like there are a couple of rubs orders that I have now that people are waiting on me to ship the rub, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And Home Depot has also reached out to me. They have been amazing to me. They dropped off a brand new grill and quite a few other supplies that I had on my wish list there.
Yeah.
And because they heard, like, when I'm in Chicago, this is a little tidbit nobody knows about Zoe's Fixins. To fund my business, because it usually doesn't make money, to fund me giving away all this food, I donate plasma. And I use the money, to buy my supplies.
Oh, there you go.
And so Home Depot found out about that because I go right next door, and I get my supplies from them.
Right.
And so Home Depot found out, and they wanted to, they wanted to meet with me, and we met, and I brought barbecue, of course.
Of course.
And, they were impressed, and they were like, whatever you want, whatever you need, let us know. Sure. They've provided me with trucks to do my events. They've shown up with like canopies. They're going to do some remodeling in our garage area, which is where kind of the experience happens, where we all kind of meet and join, where everybody knows to bring meat.
Right.
So
where's the beef?
Yeah. So it's kind of like all these different people, and I'm a very private person. And so all these people wanting to talk to me and wanting to meet with me is very new to me.
Yeah, I hate people.
Yeah, right. I'm just
if I can avoid people, I that's why I hate going to Sam's Club, or Walmart, because there are
people everywhere.
Fucking people everywhere.
Yeah. And I enjoy isolating.
Yes,
and
which is horrible for a recovering addict like myself.
Well, and also for a recovering depressive person like myself, isolation is not my biggest thing I should be spending time on.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a really, really interesting ride, and I my mentor is like, she's like really, really active in my life, and I'm really grateful for her. And so we're looking at a lot of different things in terms of the business, barbecue competitions and all this other kind of stuff
That's got to make you feel good.
It does.
Have you won?
No, I haven't. She entered me into a barbecue couple of them.
Yeah.
No, she just told me about it. She wasn't going to tell me because she knows that I am very much not in the public eye. I don't like to be seen.
Right.
I like to kind of be in the background, just delivering good barbecue. Like, I don't, but
we're a lot alike.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like I want to hide under a rock and just slide barbecue every now and again out, and I don't want anybody to know where it came from, you know. So I mean, it's been really interesting, and it's been really great. It's been really challenging, and because I have a lot of social anxiety that comes into play when I'm, out and about. But I've been told that you can be private in your private life, but if your business is going to take off, you kind of have to share it with people.
Right.
And so the business is getting a little more attention here, and I am just kind of rolling with it.
Do you think it's helping with your anxiety a little bit now that you're kind of putting yourself out there like that?
You know what? I would say yes. Because of the subject matter. It's something I love barbecue.
Yeah.
So like if I were to talk about anything, it'd probably be barbecue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
so it's like it helps to talk about things that you enjoy. So it definitely has helped me get outside of my box a little bit.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
great.
I'm getting a little more social. My mentor is telling me often, like, you're going to have to get over yourself because people are going to want this and they're not going to want to see you hiding when they come to get it. And so, little things I'm doing, I talk to my therapist often.
You can't be like the Wizard of Oz where you're like, there's the big, giant head and you're in the... You're behind the curtain. It can't be... It doesn't work like that.
No, people want to see a face. People want to see a face. Like, even on my social media, like, it's basically... I just want it to be about the food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But people are starting to take a shine to my story and what they've heard about me and things like that. And so,
So, depression, you touched on that. For the last month and a half, maybe 2 months, I've been going through a really, really bad depression. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't wanted to leave the house, and I haven't been. I took a sabbatical from work for about a month and a half, short-term disability. Depression is just, it's horrible. I mean, it's just, it doesn't, it's not just like, oh, I'm depressed. I mean, I think people use that word way too much.
Yeah.
And because depression is not a fucking joke. I mean, it's like, it beats your ass down, and you just don't, like, for me, like, I just want to sit in my chair, maybe read my book, maybe have the light. I usually don't even like having the lights on. I just sit there and just, like, with the blanket on and just don't want anybody. Sometimes even a man, my wife. I mean, obviously, I want my wife to come home. I want my wife to come home eventually.
Right.
Who's gonna cook me dinner?
Right, exactly.
I'm just kidding. No,
exactly.
I took women back like 50 years by saying that.
You did.
But
I'm always against you.
No, she. But no, I mean, my wife, like, the first day of my sabbatical, wrote all these two sides of a piece of paper of different, like, anxiety, because and not to isolate different tips, because because I suffer from terrible anxiety as well. Like, I have panic attacks. I mean, I have to take medication for it. I mean, for as far as depression, anxiety goes for you, I mean, what does it look like for you? I mean, what kind of manifestations?
To be honest, it looks very similar to yours.
Hey!
Yeah, very similar to yours.
But should we shop at the same store too?
Yeah, right. Depressions are us. Yeah. I am very isolative, which, is very telling because I'm a people person innately. I'm just naturally, comfortable around all different kinds of people, talking to people. And so that's pretty much a telltale sign for me when I don't really want to be around people. I like to be in the dark. And my social anxiety is just, it's monstrous. And it makes me not want to leave the house. Yeah. Like, I have certain safe places to go. I have certain safe people that I'm very grateful for. But other than that, like, left to my own devices, I will just sit and do nothing. Right. It really becomes a physical thing. I mean, I think, people think of depression in terms of, like, I'm sad.
Yeah.
You know, like this happened and that made me sad. And there are sometimes in my depression, I don't even know what I'm depressed about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like I don't know why I feel this way.
No rhyme or reason. It's just
yeah.
You're just like
blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I get it.
So my stuff kind of takes that form, and I'm really grateful. To my mental health team is really the MVP in my life. My my support system is really the MVP in my life because they make me look a lot more functional than I am left alone without them, and so I'm able to do certain things. And people are like, I hear this all the time from people like, oh, you've been through so much, like you're so strong. And it's like, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. And
it's not about strength, it's just about trying to live.
It's just about getting through it.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's not even a wanting to get through it. It's just like, I know that there is no other option.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to suck it up and just muscle through this. And so it's like, when I hear that, I know it comes from a good place, so I graciously accept it.
Right, sure.
But there are a lot of times that I don't feel strong, and like when I go to my therapist, there are sometimes I can tell when I'm in a funk when I don't want to go to therapy.
Right.
And when I don't want to go to therapy, that's when I know I need to go.
Yep.
Because the rest of the time, I don't really have a problem with it because I know how much I need it. And so it has helped me to be more functional than I was when I started therapy 3 years ago. So I go, and on those days when I don't feel like going, I'm like, I need to kick it into gear because this is probably when I need it the most. And so like those things, my mental health team, and like I said, my support system has been invaluable because when I'm out, and I have meltdowns, nobody sees that. When I have it's like, I have to run to the bathroom and get myself together and all of that. But when you see me, you're like, oh yeah, you're doing great. You're smiling. It's like, let the wrong song come on the radio and I become like an infant.
Yeah.
And I can't, I was giving my therapist an example the other day. It's like my head is spinning, but not the room. You know what I mean? It's not a dizziness.
Oh, I totally.
It's like the thoughts in my head are just swimming.
Hamster wheel.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Totally like that.
I'm right
and
there
I
with
get
you.
like very overstimulated very easily, and it's hard for me to like focus on what I'm actually supposed to be doing. I just want to go home.
Right.
But there are things that I need to do, things I need to go out to do. And so there are some, coping skills and things that I've learned through therapy that help me get through those moments because we're 3 years into therapy. And I'm still, to hear me tell it, I'm pretty far from my goal. But then when I think about when I first started therapy and how my triggers, affected me, because my thing is I still have triggers and my triggers are still the same and I still feel the same way. What I do not give myself credit for is that I deal with them better than I did before.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And so that is a sign to me that all of this therapy that I don't think is helping sometimes, and I'm just going to quit taking my meds, it's helping. So,
and you touched on something, like when somebody says, you're so strong, and, it's not about strength, sometimes it's just about not even having a fucking choice. Because, I'm recovering alcoholic addict, and I'll usually put something on Facebook saying, hey, it's been like 9 years, like I did, and people will be like, oh, you're doing so great, you congratulations, and keep up the good work. And I'm just like, it makes me want to cringe. I mean, I know it's like you said, I know it's coming from a good place, but it's not I don't have a choice. If I pick up, I'm fucking dead. I'm gonna be prostituting myself on the street for cocaine. You know what I mean? Or going to a bar and drinking myself to obliteration. It's not a choice. It's all about just trying. It's surviving.
That's really it. That is really it. Survival is key. Survival is key. There's been a lot of things that. So I've in therapy in the last 3 years, I've been diagnosed with PTSD. And, I went into therapy and I'm telling my therapist, like, okay, so they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, my daughter died and she broke my brain.
Yeah.
So I need you to fix me. And, you know, they were like, you have PTSD. And I'm like, great. So she leaves me alone with PTSD. You know what I mean? Like, thank you so much, Zoe. You enjoyed the life I gave you so much. You left me diseased, right? And so, you know, after like my first 2 sessions, you know, where you go through the family history and everything, you know, I'm answering all honestly. And they're like, yeah, so you've been had PTSD? And I'm like, seriously? Mm-hmm. And, you know, apparently there were a lot of traumas and things that I never dealt with. Yeah. And Zoe became the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
I just blame it on her because she's not here to defend herself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Know? I do that to my wife all the time, but usually she doesn't listen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I, you know, I really have been working through some things in that. And it, like, the trauma piece to me, because I'm, you know, I'm a survivor. And,
you are.
You know,
Absolutely.
Like, I've always been known as that, or you know, because I've been through things in life that, you know, it's just like, why, or like, who could, you know what I mean? Like,
I just it's the ultimate worst thing in the world, the parent not living their child.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of traumas that I just don't have the, you know, I'm always the strong one in all my circles and in my family. So, you know, I haven't.
But you have a breaking point.
Exactly. And I haven't always had the luxury or time to deal with just my stuff, because I kind of have to juggle my stuff with dealing with everybody else's responses to my trauma and things of that nature. So like, this is like the first time I'm actually sitting down with all of just my trauma. Yeah. And I'm seeing things that are traumas that I did not know. It's just life to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, what little girl wasn't raped? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's things like that I just have run through in an effort to just continue with life. Yeah. That these things get untreated. So then now I'm like, feel like I'm just a mess, because like socially and all this other stuff that I'm dealing with, it's like, I'm just a mess. But I don't see all of these little traumas that I've kind of rolled through.
Did you said something about rape?
Yes, I was raped when I was 12 or 13. Jesus Christ. Yeah, 12 or 13, I was raped by someone that I trusted in a safe place, in a very, very safe place, to me personally. Yeah. You know, and
I'm sorry.
No. You're absolutely. This is all. Yeah, I'm an open book. Okay. I always try to tell people, like, I try to be open even with my scars, because you don't know who can be healed by your scars. So, you know, I'm an open book. But yeah, I was raped, and I did not tell anyone. Nobody knew for like the first year and a half. It was, you know what? It was shame, but then this was a person that I trusted that was well known to me and my family, and it was like, nobody's gonna believe me. Yeah, nobody's gonna believe me. Nobody's gonna believe, you know. So I just kept it, and so like even as a kid, I've always been, you know, older than I should have been. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm 12 dealing with that, never got resolved. You know, and then there's all these implications and things that came up with that I never, you know, got treated. It's just a matter of like, how do I get through this to get to the next thing, you know? And so, you know, I tell people, like, some of the things that I've been through are just like when I was homeless. Like, a lot of people have been homeless, and for different reasons, and I was homeless basically. Like many other, unfortunately, youth in our culture that do not have the loving coming out story that some have. Right. And I became homeless as a result of that when I was too young to be, you know. And so there was all the things coming with that. You come from being in a family, having a family, to feeling like you actually don't have a family, and now you don't know where you're going to live, and you're a teenager.
What happened to your family?
I mean, I came out to them, and they took a different stance than I was expecting. I mean, I don't know what I expected. They're very very spiritual people, which, you know, I'm nothing against that. I'm a very spiritual person myself. Okay. They just took it a different way, and I just was like, oh, they'll be upset about this, but we'll be fine.
Yeah.
They were more than upset. They were more than upset, and I was not fine. I was homeless. And so, you know, those type of things make, you know, when you're young like that, you're on the streets with people who drug addicts and stuff like that, and it's not, you know, it's not really the place for a kid, but you learn early on certain how to survive out there. And like, I've eaten out of garbage cans and all this other type of stuff that I should have been at home doing homework or with my family being loved. And so dealing with my sexuality and dealing with it alone on the streets, like, you know, all of these other type of things, these are all traumas that I never identified as traumas. You know?
Yeah, and you know, as you know, I am bisexual, you know. And for a long time I struggled with the question, am I gay? Am I bisexual? What, you know, what am I, you know? And, you know, I tried coming out to my mom and my dad, and my dad was like, what is this? Some sort of, well, you've been dating girls, like, what's the deal? Is this some sort of social experiment that you've been doing? And I was like, fuck you. You know, and then my mom did the whole, oh, you're just confused, blah, 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 and, you know, and it's, I mean, they didn't throw me out, you know, they were, I mean, they weren't loving about it, but, like, they were kind of middle ground as far as just, like, they don't get it, you know. I mean, for God's sakes, they fucking voted for Trump, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
so they don't get it.
You know what I mean? They don't understand, and you know, and it's taken me a long time to learn to accept it. They just don't acknowledge it, and that's fine. Like, you know, because I couldn't even. I told my parents that this podcast was ranked as one of the number 10 bisexual podcasts on the web, you know, and I you know, I was very afraid to tell my parents that, and I was like, oh, it's a niche, I'm number one in a niche. My dad was like, what kind of niche? And I was like, I'm not gonna tell you. You know, I finally did. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, but you know, coming, you know, I think the hardest part was coming out to my wife, because I mean, you know, but what, you know, because, you know, she's your wife, you know, and you've been holding back, you know, a part of you. I mean, because I was squashing this sexuality thing down for years, not, you know, even before Amanda, you know, my wife Amanda, you know, and I finally just got to the point, you know, I was watching this show on Netflix, and there was this transgendered woman, and I was just like, she's hot, you know, and not only that, you know, I just was just like, you know what, Hugh Grant is hot too, and I just started thinking to myself, you know what, fuck it, you know, I'm done. I'm gonna be me. Right. I'm gonna do me. Right. And you know, maybe Amanda will accept it. Maybe she won't. Maybe I might be getting divorced. I don't know. Right. But I told her that I was pansexual, and she didn't know what the fuck that was. she was just like she was like, oh, okay, and she like hugged me, and I was like crying, and then later on she's like, I don't know what the fuck pansexuality is, and I tried to explain it, and I finally was like, would it make more sense to you if I just said I was bisexual? She was like, yes. I was like, fine, I'm fucking bisexual. Conversation over. Boom.
And drops the mic, and that's
yeah, it was a mic drop. I was like, fine, bisexual. Boom. Yeah. So, you know, it's sex. I mean, yes, coming out is a really, it's a weird thing. I mean, you know, I've had a few friends that have come out as transgendered, you know, and you know, and I still sometimes it's you know, like I had a friend that was that's married, and their husband came out as transgender and wants to be a woman, and they've, as far as I know, they've decided to stay together, which I think is awesome and amazing, and I think that it takes, I'm not going to say it takes a lot of strength, but I mean, they're living, you know, they're doing their thing, you know, and I think it's a beautiful thing that they're just, you know, they love, you know, love is love, you know, that's what I've learned, you know, no matter where, you know, no matter who, love who you love. My dad used to do this when I had a cousin that was gay, right? And my, like my dad was like, hate the sin, love the sinner, but hate the sin, that kind of thing, and he was like, so should it be okay to if a guy wants to marry a donkey or something like that, and I just wanted to be like, dude, if that fucking donkey can sign a fucking marriage certificate, then I say go for it. Like if that donkey is smart enough to be able to sign a piece of paper, I think that they belong to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a ride, I mean, the thing is, last night I put a question out there saying who's your favorite celebrity crush, and I put down Hugh Jackman, and right. And I it really opened the door. A lot of women put down women. I mean, that are women that identify as straight. Put down women as their secret celebrity crush. And I was like, cool. I think it's really cool when people can just be open about it. I mean, if you like a girl, fine. And you're a girl. If you like a guy and think he's hot, don't be an asshole about it. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
I think that's what life is really about. Is be who you fucking are.
Yeah.
You can't contain who you are. You know what I mean?
Well, you shouldn't
come out. Yeah.
You shouldn't. I think I think coming out is really a challenge for some people, and so I always love to hear those stories where the family is all supportive and all like love, because in my mind it's like one less suicide, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the project.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm always glad to hear. So even though my story was different, I'm glad to know that other people are having better experiences.
Yeah.
Than I did. And so, since then, because of the way I came out, I was really struggled with my sexuality, because it was just like, it was so much shame associated with it. Like, I don't know any gay people. I grew up in the church. Yeah, so it was so weird for me. It was very weird for me. There was nobody to talk to. There was no counsel to seek that would not, like, shame me to hell. You know what I mean? So it was very isolating. But ultimately, like, I became more inquisitive, because I knew what I felt was different. Right. And I also knew that I had nowhere to reach in my circle to get the help that I needed with this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I knew I didn't feel the way that I was supposed to feel necessarily.
Right.
And so, ultimately, I got to the point where I was just like, and, I guess being on the streets helped with this a lot, because you see a lot of some of everybody and some of everything. And it kind of made me feel like, you know what? I'm different. I'm weird. And I'm okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, people like me. When I was I was very popular.
Yeah.
Very popular when I was homeless. I was very popular. They nicknamed me the Uptown Mayor. I was quite popular. And I just kept being like... Yeah. Right, but everybody knows I'm gay, right? And they're like, nobody cares here.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody, as long as you're happy. And see, that's my thing. Whatever your relationship is, as long as you're healthy and happy to one another, like, it's none of nobody else's business, I think. And everybody has an issue with this or that or the other. It's so many things to find. Be like, I don't like that you're gay. Well, you know what? I don't like that hairstyle on you, or that it's red. However, you are well within your rights to wear the ugly hairstyle.
Right.
Right. And so,
so anyway, but I was just gonna say, so what did you cook for me today?
Actually, I actually have some chicken.
Yeah.
And some roasted potatoes.
Nice.
And I think that's about it, because I think I'm out of cabbage. So I was cooking all weekend. I was planning to cook Thursday evening, and then people kept bringing meat every day. Like, and my motto is, as long as I have food and fire, I'm just gonna keep cooking.
Yeah.
So I cooked Thursday, and then people came with meat Friday. Which is what the experience is like when I'm in Chicago.
Right.
So it was very much, it almost felt like at home.
Right.
You know, people just kept coming, bringing meat, and so I'm like, this is what it's about. So
Yeah.
you know, I enjoyed a great deal. And it's like it's a passion project, but it really turned into a love thing. We hear from people all the time that say that, like, you know, their experience there or the time that they spent with us was amazing, and you know, I feel so much better and I got so many ideas,
Yeah.
or I feel lighter, or you know, whatever the case may be. And it's just like it all happens over barbecue. So I'm just grateful to actually be able to do what I love to do the way that I love to do it. Just being me.
Awesome. So that was Kellz from Zoe's Fixins, the mastermind of that operation. She is a one woman force of nature, and it was absolutely a blessing to be able to talk with her. And not only that, but after this interview, I normally don't do addendums, but after this interview, she and I talked for another 3 hours as she fed me, and I shoved food in my mouth for 3 full hours of just shoving food into my maw. But no, we had a great time. She's just a very positive individual, you know, and her daughter had made such a huge mark on obviously on her, as well as so many other people. And you know, I know she definitely touched the heart of my wife, who, you know, as I'm not breaking HIPAA, just kidding. As Kellz mentioned, you know, my wife was her therapist, but I know that when Zoe passed on, it really hit my wife hard, and it was almost as if she'd lost a child. So, yeah, Zoe, wherever you are, you made a difference. You made a huge difference in the lives of so many people. With that being said, you know, grief is, you know, this month and a half long sabbatical that I've been on has been a result of grief, a result of stress, and a result of just depression. And it's all very, very real. You know, you're not alone. It's not just you know, pick yourself up and dust yourself off. No, it's all a real thing, and it hurts. It hurts like a motherfucker. And grief will not let you go until you let it go, and then it still sticks around and lingers. I'm still not over Lily and Bailey, but you know, I'm going through therapy, and a special kind of therapy called EMDR, and it involves like eye movement, and little by little things are getting better. Things are getting better, and if you suffer from depression or grief or anxiety or whatever your mental health, you know, issues are, you know, go get help. There's nothing weak about it. Nobody's going to make fun of you about it. If they do, they can go fuck themselves, all right? But just do what you can to be happy. I mean, that's really all you can. I mean, life is short. Why be miserable? You know, there's one thing I've learned in recovery, and it's this, and it's pain is necessary, misery is optional. And I think you can figure out what that means. You know, you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to let it run your life. But shit's going to go down, and you just have to learn how to deal with it. And we do it one day at a time.
Yes.